That has got me a couple of times. What do you say, my friends? We are going to go into St. Germain on Alchemy, and I forgot I needed to invite Michael. He and I have done many videos. I was deciding which one to send him, and now I say to you, if you are interested in coming here live, just ask before the Zoom by you going to where you can find that Zoom, which would be the place that I cannot find. And I'm trying. There we go, and now I will send it to you, and I'll say that I am not always ready when I go live, but that's okay. Love me anyway. And now I say to you, it is true that we must all stand up. Live reading of Saint Germain on Alchemy. It's true. Michael, how are you? Fantastic. I am live right now, so are you going to be able to join me? I just got that email off to you.
I hadn't planned on this evening.
Oh, well then don't worry about it. I'm just reading it out loud, but if you've got other things to do, you are live and I am too, so I'm going to get back to the people. Unless, would you have something to say that you would like to share with the people while you are here, Michael Seegers?
I'm just eating my dinner. I only saw that I missed your call, so I was calling you back.
That's fine. You can say something.
To who?
To all the people in view on YouTube and Facebook too. I'm live.
About what?
Whatever. Your choice. Dealer's choice, don't they say?
Nothing comes to mind.
Oh, nothing comes to mind. Well, what about your heart? Enter into the threefold flame, which is the start of your ascension to the I am that I am that rides above the Christos consciousness, which was what Michael Seegers introduced me to through the book we're going to read tonight. So, Michael, if you've got nothing to say, then I'll just bid you adieu and start reading.
Have a wonderful evening.
You as well. Thanks a lot. Toodaloo.
Thank you.
All right, there we go. So, that was good. Got lost a few times with feedback from the summit today, which just got uploaded. So, in fact, if you have not yet done that, please do check out the Lawfully Organized summit that we just did as Peaceful Inner Warriors United, which is the point of all of why I do what I do and try to bring joy to the journey to help us remember that it starts and ends it and has an urn in between. If only we are willing to stay there. What do you mean? What alchemy world is what chapter 8 says. And while I had intended to start at the beginning where Elizabeth Clare Prophet and Mark Prophet, her husband, actually began first channeling the messages of Saint Germain, and now I share them with you so you can gain the insights and also the light codes contained herein, because that is what is such a sin in this decaying world that makes us think we are less than we are. So, the moon rules the night side of life and is the lesser light, the reflective light of the solar energy of God. In its reflective state, it exerts enormous control over the tides and over the water element. Luna, the moon, the whirling satellite that rules the night, governs in part then the emotional body of man and can easily become either his greatest enemy or his best friend. For when properly harnessed, the energies of the moon being put under his feet can help him to achieve alchemical control over his emotions, over his energy in motion. Let us see how this is so. The moon reflects the astral body of Earth. When dealing with the moon, then, we deal with the reflected light of the sun. When the astral body is under the dominion of the Christ, its power becomes limitless. When its purified energies are magnified in turn by the moon, which is nothing more than a giant reflector, their power is multiplied in almost infinite proportion. But until such time as the mass consciousness is ruled by the light of the sun instead of being ruled by the night, the moon will reflect the astral effluvia of the planet. Thus, men will continue to be the victims of their own horrendous miscreations, and that to an even greater degree become during the cycle of the full moon. Now, the alchemist uses his purified consciousness as a reflector of solar energies, much like the moon reflects the light of the sun. The waters of his mind reflect the light of the day and the night, even as the waters of the sea reflect the golden pathway of both the sun and the moon. But the Christ consciousness, the prism of purity, like the sea of glass, filters out the impurities of the moon, even as it refracts the light of the sun. All energy being God's energy, the humanly misqualified energies reflected by the moon sent back to the earth from whence they came according to karmic law must be freed, may be freed from the imposition of the carnal mind through the process of transmutation. They may then be used to create, in the tradition of the great alchemist, more perfect works of art until the patterns in the heavens transform the patterns of the earth and the moon becomes a golden orb of rarefied power. Most of you know only too well that when your emotions become disturbed over outer conditions, feelings, or concepts, there is a moment when you are yet able to wrest control of your energies from your own emotional body. Subsequently, if these energies are permitted to continue to rage unabated, that moment of control is lost, and then it is easy for people to do, to think, or to say that which they will one day regret. Conversely, most of you are aware of the great joy and peace that has come to your souls when you have been able to accomplish something for someone else. This happens because deep within yourself there is a loving desire to serve your fellow man. This desire is what prompted the descent of the Christ, the Son of David, in his role as the Messiahs of old. The shepherd king, a man after God's own heart, communed with God and prepared himself for greater service as he tended his sheep. Nowhere was the luster of his soul more apparent than in the beauty of his meditations upon the Spirit of the Lord recorded in the book of Psalms. One of the most skillful ways in which the tired businessman or executive, the frustrated mother or wife, the confused young man or woman can find integration and wholeness for themselves is to develop the discipline of being able to direct their emotions to do for them exactly what they want. Such discipline will completely change their outlook, for they will then face life with joyous expectancy, not with dissatisfaction. For example, if it is love for another that you would express, then you must always guard against that love which is selfish, which would exact from the beloved the expectancies of your own mind and heart without ever understanding the givingness of love. In order to love as God loves, you must give freedom first to all parts of life, including yourself, and then you must place your trust, as does a nestling bird, in the heart of God, in the heart of goodness and mercy. Having given all, you will then receive the most joyful, eternal gifts from God that you could ever imagine, and some even beyond that which you could even imagine. These will not only through the chalice of your own heart, but also through the hearts of your compeers. If then you would truly love, you must learn to discipline the base emotions of selfishness, envy, jealousy, resentment, stubbornness, and ingratitude. We urge, therefore, at this juncture in our alchemical studies that the control of the emotions be considered, for the emotions will play a very important role in the creative cloud action, which we are considering and out of which we are functioning. The only way to be truly happy is to give oneself totally to the universe and to God. At the same time, being aware of and expecting more from God, the return gift of one's real self. One of the greatest dangers in the religious quest has been brought about as men have given themselves to God, thinking that that was all they had to do, not understanding the responsibilities of free will. They then acted the part of the nebulous ninny. Having no will of their own, they would flip-flop back and forth, blown by every wind, obsessed with what we will call the law of uncertainty. For if the trumpet give an uncertain sound, we shall prepare himself to the battle. If the trumpet give an uncertain sound, who shall prepare himself to the battle? Men should understand that although their surrender to God be complete, following surrender, they must wait for the fiat of bestowal that is pronounced by the God presence as a restatement of the blessing given by God at the birth of his offspring. Thou art my beloved Son, this day have I begotten thee. This takes place when one has relinquished the control of his four lower bodies to his Christ self, thus enabling his true self, the Christ, to obey the fiat, take command over the earth. The earth being one's footstool, kingdom, the four lower bodies. Remember that even Jesus Christ came to the moment of his anointing. The Holy Christ descended, and the voice of God renewed the ancient covenant. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. You are the beloved Son, in whom God is well pleased. Well done. This is the timeless fiat of creation uttered from the foundation of the world, reconsecrating the soul who is pledged to renew in service his vow taken at inner levels to do the will of God. Inner levels, inner standing is more important than understanding, not what we stand under, but what we stand in. Is it in faith or is it in fear? Those are the cells that we get to fill ourselves with if we only understand that it is the F we put at the end of the CELL hyphen that decides whether we will be full of faith or full of fear, or whether we will be fearfully faithful or fearfully faithful. Fearfully faithful is what I said twice instead of faithfully fearful. So why is that? Think nice. Twice. Let us rhyme and let us continue. Remember that even Jesus the Christ came to the moment of his anointing. The Holy Christ descended, and the voice of God renewed the ancient covenant. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. This is the timeless fiat of creation uttered from the foundation of the world, reconsecrating the soul who is pledged to renew in service his vow taken at inner levels to do the will of God. Therefore, when men's right to function as a son of God is restored, the moment of creativity is born, because he has once again recognized the power of God's love to forgive his sins, to set aside his karma until such time as he has gained enough self-mastery to stand, face, and conquer his human creation. Now the bond of life within itself weds him to the highest purposes of alchemy, and that, mind you, without ever robbing him of his true identity. What shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world through the use of alchemy and lose his soul? We ask the students to understand that gaining control of the soul, of the energies composing one's identity pattern, is one of the most essential functions of alchemy, and that this control is gained through surrender and through humility. When the Christ entering the holy city riding upon a colt, the foal of an ass, as we mentioned in our last lesson, his mien was one of utter humility, yet he was crowned by God and man with the highest honors. And so it is essential that we develop in the students those same Christ-like qualities that will make them pillars in the temple of God, that cannot be moved by human emotions, no matter what their guise: criticism, condemnation, judgment, self-pity, gossip, treachery, tyranny, or human deceit. The alchemist must be oblivious to all human conduct, yet not unaware of worldly thought, to the point where he plays the fop. To him, the full fulfillment of the fiat, be wise as serpents and harmless as doves, is the order of every day. But we are concerned with the sinews of mission and the mission of freedom for all. If we would have freedom to be the joy of all, then we must give freedom to all, for then none can exclude freedom from us. It is therefore to the passions of freedom that our experiments in alchemy must be dedicated. We must rise to emotional control, for when God said, "Take dominion over the earth," he meant individual dominion over one's energies, one's consciousness, and one's four lower bodies. Collective dominion comes about when the contributing spirit of the group, the nation, the planet, recognizing all that it has received from life, joyously offers itself and all that it has received to the great spirit of life. At one point, man, the individual, the collective unit, ponder the enrichment of the real self and the true mystical identity of the group through the increase of individual talents. These gifts of God, when multiplied, are like stars in the firmament of being that glow in the grand design of universal destiny, like lighthouses in the night of darkness. When someone is trying to fight for their life, because it is their devil, between the dog of good and the dog with a capital G, because that is what happens when we put God into a box. Remember, if we are willing to take a stand in faith, then when God is deemed what we believe source to be, then we actually make the G lowercase and reverse the orders of the letters, because that is when it is made about the Christianity instead of the fact that Jesus Christ was neither a liberal or conservative. Sorry to ruin the punchline for Dan Vanderwolf, who is a friend and also one who wrote the book, Was Jesus a Liberal or Conservative? And I read some of Willingness to Love, his first book, recently as well, and it's beautiful, so highly recommend it. Sidetracked, but let's get back. I like the riffs. You having fun? Are you having a good day? How are you? It's been 15 minutes and I have my sacred traveler cards below that fell onto the ground. So I wonder if you want me to use them at some point. I don't have to do that right now, though I want to, but I don't need to yet. I do. It says stay focused, so let's hold the course and get back to the point. Woo! How fun. Oh, now my divine guidance. Other ones fell. So, you can tell what I want to do. Let's focus. Okay. Collective dominion comes about when the contributing spirit of the group, the nation, the planet, recognizing all that it has received from life, joyously offers itself and all that it has received to the great spirit of life. At that point, man, the individual, and man, the collective unit, ponder the enrichment of the real self and the true mystical identity of the group through the increase of individual talents. These ideas, these gifts of God, when multiplied, are like stars in the firmament of things that glow in the grand design of universal destiny. When man becomes one with God, he realizes that he truly is God. This is not blasphemy, but the fruit of total surrender. The return gift of life's own identity as God gives himself to his Son is far greater than the token sacrifice of mortality left on the altar by the beloved Son. Nevertheless, it is typical of the deity to be the great giver and thus to precipitate the highest alchemical manifestation, the prism of the Christ consciousness. This must be and always is the reward for the relinquishment of human error and the full realization of the divine life in every man. All nature then trembles within the cup of the Christ mind. The heart of the Christ is brimming with the creative essence which pours out the unifying experience that identifies him with life, him with the alchemist, and the alchemist with him. Who can hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain? Who can aid in all the holy mountain of God? Why, every atom, every electron is a rushing unto God. And a cloud received him out of their sight. Ye men of Galilee, you men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into the heaven? The same Jesus which is taken up from you unto heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. The second coming of Christ is antedated by the fulfillment of the prophecy. One shall be taken and the other left. For when one is taken and another is left, it denotes that the world lieth yet in wickedness, and that only the few have accepted the kingdom. But when the second coming of Christ comes to the quickened world, it will be because the nature of the divine has become understood as a priceless gift of freedom to every man. When this miracle of Christ's love is produced in the world, it will be because the students of alchemy, when known by that name or any other, whether in the churches or out of the churches, in fact, whether in the body or out of the body, are expressing universally the radiance of the Christ design, imbued with the fires of the Holy Spirit, their minds will then become a cosmic reactor, a central furnace of universal ideas for freedom and for the breaking of the chains of bondage that a recalcitrant humanity have forged. Now we reveal in this 8th lesson that what alchemy can mean to a decaying world, what it can mean to slaves in bondage to the senses, what it can mean to the self surrendered, surrounded by confusion and chaos as it becomes an ordered, purposeful exhibit of universal grace, expressing through the force field of the individual identity of man. Do you see now why Almoira and Mother Mary and all the ascended masters are offering their energies freely for the good of humanity? Do you see why the creative cloud invoked by us, literally an individualized cloud of witness by day and a pillar of fire by night, enables man to understand that the crucible of identity, while it may at first be nothing but an experimental test tube, can become a radiant altar of reality? The fire by night is the sacred flame, covered and surrounded by the pillar of light, I believe. It is time for us to say, hey, wow, okay, so the goddess of liberty, patroness of their sacred cause, was perhaps the most revered of all the heavenly hosts. In 1775, Thomas Paine honored her in a ballad called Liberty Tree. This is what we will read before we then begin at the beginning, as I had meant to and then got distracted, I say, when I noticed that it was at page 133. So another sign that we are in alignment, because if you see patterns, which is repeating numbers or symbols, then we know that we are on the right track. And that is just how the universe is reminding us that we are singing the one song of our own life. And so, in a chariot of light from the regions of day, the goddess of liberty came. 10,000 celestials directed her way, and hither conducted the dame. A fair budding branch from the gardens above, where millions with millions agree, she brought in her hand as a pledge of her love, and plant she named Liberty Tree. It's time for us to join together. I want to be her. No, I don't. I want to be myself. And that's what they were able to do when they stopped trying to be someone else. And so now we will get to the beginning of studies in alchemy. Saint Germain on alchemy, formulas for self-transformation. This is what we're doing. This is he, Saint Germain. I say we're getting into book 1. This one is by Katumi. I do believe, but I may be wrong. I am, because that was the aura which we read and is the first pillar of the teachings. And now I stop singing and get back to the beginning. So, full many a glorious morning have I seen flatter the mountain tops with sovereign eye, kissing with golden face the meadows green, gilding pale streams with heavenly alchemy. Shakespeare. A sonnet with 3 X's and 3 1s. So, chapter 1, the law of transfer of energy. 2,000 years ago, when Christ walked upon the waters of the Sea of Galilee, his demonstration was a manifestation of the natural law of levitation operating within an energy framework of cohesion, adhesion, and magnetism, the very principles which make orbital flight possible. The light atoms composing the body of Christ absorbed at will an additional quantity of cosmic rays and spiritual substance, whose kinship to physical light made his whole body light, thereby making it as easy for him to walk upon the sea as upon dry land. His body was purely a ray of light shining upon the waters. The most dazzling conception of all was his ability to transfer this authority over energy to Peter through the power of Peter's own vision of the Christ in radiant, illumined manifestation. By taking his eyes temporarily from the Christ, however, Peter entered a human fear vibration and vortex, which immediately densified his body, causing it to sink partially beneath the raging seas. The comforting hand of Christ, extended in pure love, reunited the alchemical tie, and the flow of spiritual energy through his hand raised Peter once again to safety. The further example of the Master Jesus releasing a flow of energy, as in the case of the woman who touched the hem of his garment without his knowledge aforehand. shows the impersonal love of God, which responds equally to the call of faith from any of those creatures he has fashioned so wonderfully and so purely in the supreme hope of absolute cosmic freedom for all. These two examples refer to aspects of the great cosmic law which are not commonly known, but which are commonly discussed or skirted about by religious groups. The law of transfer of energy is vital to the science of alchemy, for without it, it is impossible to create matter. It is a law that nothing cannot create something. True knowledge of the impersonal law of transfer of energy is also vital to the correct understanding of the great law. For it proves that God, who makes the sun to shine on both the just and the unjust, does manifest through both. Jesus declared during his Palestinian mission that the kingdom of God suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. It must be realized then that it is possible to wrest from the hand of God some of the secrets of governing the forces of nature and controlling matter, even though the individual and motive be not absolutely pure. But let none ever think that the one so doing shall escape from accountability, for he is fully responsible for each use or abuse of energy within his world. The reason I am choosing to begin my exposition on alchemy with a note of warning and a sobering explanation is not to cause anyone fear, but rather to instill in all who read a deep and abiding reverence for God, which is the only fear permitted in our octave. It is in reality holy awe that engenders within all who love the great law of love the fullest respect and adoration for the wisdom which so fearfully and wonderfully made all creation in the image of fearless freedom. All those who misuse the powers of the universe for selfish ends find sooner or later that they must relinquish hold upon their ill-gotten gains, and the penalty they pay is frightful indeed. To produce substance, to feed the poor, to heal at the touch a withered hand, to raise the dead, and even to set aside natural law and perform, by the magic of alchemy, miracles of infinite wonder, this seems to mankind to be the ultimate in their use of. Let me embrace the spirit of freedom that makes it possible for man, made in the immortal, loving, God-free image of his Creator, to do these things and many more to the benefit of society and to the happiness of his benefactors. But above all, let me praise the proper use of the blessed divine science of alchemy. But above all, let me praise the proper use of the blessed divine science of spiritual alchemy. The ancient alchemist has ever been a colorful figure, even to his own contemporaries, but time has gilded his image with a glory far greater than that which he ever possessed, and it is ever thus when approaching the aspects of history. And it is with that we say, I would like to take this off and reveal the fact that underneath I'm feeling like I'm dressed for a Christmas gathering. It is true, we did not do that this year. Has your family been divided too? I know it's maybe a difficult time for you. And so I will get back to reading. It's true. It has been such a busy day though, guys. Honestly, it's like half hour of you watching me. Why? I appreciate it and say, hey, it's Mac Green. When I was a student at McMaster, I was on the recycling team for a little bit. And when I interviewed Bishop Larry Gators a few months back, it was so interesting because he actually talked about recycling and how it is actually, I think, Lucifer backwards somehow, I recall, or connected in that way to the devil. And to say that LSD was said to be Lucifer, Satan, and the devil. But if we actually look at what the devil is, not some guy in red tights and with horns and a tail, but instead the devil was when we lived in fear instead of of faith. And that was when then we reversed the order of lived into the devil. So did you know that evil and live are anagrams as well? And so is God and dog, as I often say. So coffee. One of the things that were introduced to make it so that men and women had addictions, so that then they could better control us. And that is why we must do our best to get ourselves pure. Isaiah 7:33. So discipline, self-discipline. It is both a joy and a curse, a blessing and a disguised one too, because with power comes responsibility, and that is what so many are afraid to wield, which is why I would really encourage you to watch the Lawfully Organized Summit that I just got posted. And there's also an interview that Chantel Matheson and I did too with Stephen Martin, and he broke down some really important, interesting details that we weren't aware of, and you may not have been too, but we're going to come together again next Thursday at 4 Eastern Standard Time to discuss it, so look forward to that. And the challenge of masonry. I just want to say the challenge of masonry is to be reborn incorruptible, which must be preceded by the death of the lower nature. The Masonic third degree is the allegorical death and resurrection of Harim Abif, the teacher or guru, which is analogous to Christ. Thus, the intention of masonry is not the building of a temple, but the greater science of soul building. On a macrocosmic scale, as applied to America, this meant the resurrection of the Golden Age civilization of Atlantis by the resurrection of the divine identity of our citizens in the new Atlantis, of which we are. Bacon was the unheralded partner in the Virginia company that established a settlement in Virginia. He was a confidant of the English explorer, soldier, courtier, writer, and colonizer, Sir Walter Raleigh, and received correspondence from John Smith, who became president of the Jamestown colony after being saved from death at the hand of Powhatan by the chief's daughter, Pocahontas. Because Bacon worked behind the scenes, there are only a few identifiable traces of his work in the New World. In 1910, he was honored by Newfoundland on their tricentennial commemorative stamp as the guiding spirit in colonization schemes. In the flowering of masonry in America, the prophecy of the Restoration was nearly fulfilled, but not quite. America was still a British possession. Excuse me, can I read that again? America was still a British possession. In the mid-1700s, the spirit of the revolution swept the American colonies. It grew out of the reaction to British tyranny and the Great Awakening, a religious revival that gave rise to the belief that God had founded a new Israel in America. The Great Awakening gave impetus to the millenarium movement, which took things one step further, a belief that God would establish in America a millennial kingdom as promised in Revelation 20. Christ would then reign 1,000 years. The religious millenarium language adapted the framework of apocalyptic history to commonly held political ideas. American liberty was God's cause. British tyranny was Antichrist. Sin was failure to fight the British. It takes more than a fiery sentiment to make a revolution. It takes organization. The Masons, and only the Masons, were sufficiently organized. It is the Great Seal of the United States, is an emblematic representation of the mission and identity of the American people portrayed by the Great Eagle, the pyramid, the mottos, and the numerological symbols. These are what are on the page to say that they are what the Masons say are the point and purpose. And if we understand symbols, that is when then we gain access to the keys that were hidden behind closed doors before now. And Saint Germain, and then Elizabeth Clare Prophet, who channeled this book, and now me, who reads it out to you, are making it available for you to do with what it can mean to you, what it can mean for you, and then what you're actually going to do with it. I say at 34:34 in the recording on YouTube, which means that that is about personal responsibility, because 3 plus 4 plus 3 plus 4 equals 7 and 7, which would be 14, which would be a 5. But ultimately, the replication of two numbers of the same is a pattern. So that is how we use time as a way to ground ourselves in the moment and the magic of that moment when we are truly present in this present now moment. So back to the book. It is now in the simple graces of life that men will find their freedom, albeit the more complex aspects are progressive expressions of the laws of life that shall enrich the well-being of this earth and of all its, harnessing their good on behalf of the most lovely world of freedom that could ever be conceived of, even in the mind of the new Atlantean. So much for the moment regarding the world's society. Let us now consider the individual and his role in the use of alchemy. The inner meaning is simply all composition, implying the relation of the all of the creation to the parts which compose it. Thus, alchemy, when properly understood, deals with the conscious power of controlling mutations and transmutations within matter and energy, and even within life itself. It is the science of the mystic, and it is the forte of the self-realized man who, having sought, has found himself to be one with God and is willing to play his part. Through the years, men have attempted to glamorize me with the allure of distance in time and space, which always lends enchantment to the view. I do not sell myself short as the Father's handiwork, but in common with beloved Jesus, the others among the great masters of our brotherhood, I am especially interested that each man obtain his rightful place and the proper understanding of how he ought to exercise authority in the universe and in his own worlds and affairs. Let everyone who begins this study do so with the understanding that I have a purpose in speaking here, and that purpose is to make each one of you alchemists in the truest sense of the word. This means that you must become familiar at inner levels with the alchemistry of God and how each facet of creation is brought into manifestation in matter in your consciousness in your daily life. In order to do this properly, you will need to meditate and reread these lessons many times, calling to me and to your own God self your I am presence for illumination at any point that is not immediately clear to you. When you have the inner degree of alchemist of the sacred fire conferred upon you by your own Christ self, you immediately become a candidate for admission to the outer court of the Great White Brotherhood. This factor alone is a great incentive for you to become proficient in genuine spiritual alchemy. It has ever been a fallacy of human thought to deny the so-called miracles in the life of the great avatar Jesus. Nevertheless, he is a son of God, revealed to all these mighty formulas, which, if understood and practiced, would long have transformed the earth into a paradise of perfection. Enough then of human nonsense and human creation, as Shakespeare would have said it. Off then with the old, the decay and the mouldering mustiness of this shapeless mass, and then with the eternal vastness of an spirit, a being of such freedom as moving seems apart, even from reality, and projects the image of eternal hope into the tiniest gem or dewdrop, cupped within a blossom rare. I am, for the freedom of all, lovingly, Saint Germain. Okay, the accent was really atrocious, and I apologize. And yet, we carry on. Chapter 2. The purpose of your alchemical experiment. Void is unfruitful energy. The alchemist must develop a sense of the value of time and space and the opportunity to manipulate both. Freedom is won by quest and conquest, but mainly by the conquest of the finite self. True mastery of the finite comes through the indrawing love, the compelling, almost magnetic heart call of the soul to its divine source. Only the great inflow of the cosmic light of God can release the soul from the imprisoning shadows of its human creation. Summon then the purity of God the purity of purpose, which will make your creative design good. Relentlessly challenge the base elements which arise like hobgoblins. Relentlessly challenge the base elements which arise like hobgoblins to disturb and try the plan you have begun. Thus patiently evolve your God designed the purpose of your alchemical experiment. The true science of the spirit is more exact than mundane measures can yet determine. Therefore, know thyself as the white stone or elixir from whence all thy creation must proceed in orderly fashion. If the key ideas are not created from within thee, who art the alchemist, then the whole act is either hapless or an imitation of the work of another. Now, if it be God thou wouldst imitate, then well done, man. Then well done may truly be spoken of thee. But if the vanity of mankind, then pietas, let thy consciousness remain. The true self of man, from whence cometh every goodly design, is worthy to be consulted as to what it is desirable to create. Therefore, the true alchemist begins his experiment by communing with himself in order to perceive the inspiring thoughts of the radiant mind of his creator. It is in imitation of lesser qualities and lesser states of consciousness that society has molded many of its erroneous concepts. To correct these concepts, to forge an ennobling culture, to draw the lines of good character, man and society must look to lofty examples. Let men who would practice alchemy learn first to mirror the great examples of all ages who have used heaven as their design, and then let them learn to select the best qualities of their lives so that alchemy can be used as it was divinely intended, as the most noble method of achieving the desires of the heart right here and now. I strongly suspect that many of my auditors, but few, if any, of the most sincere students are anxious to have imparted onto them at once the philosopher's stone of the magical properties that will make them at will a combination of Aladdin and Midas with a trace of benevolence sprinkled in. I here declare for those who think thusly that while I shall impart tremendous knowledge concerning the science of alchemy and the whole of this 9-part study, I doubt very much that unless they absorb the secrets of the first lessons with utter humility, allowing me as the instructor the privilege of preparing the teachings as God would have me do, they will not at the very end find themselves wanting, and it will not be the fault of either teaching or teacher. I do not intend to give a lengthy discourse on the vanities of worldly life, but I would like to point out that it is the hope of the Brotherhood in releasing these teachings at this time to avoid for our students the mistakes of some of the early alchemists whose sole purpose seemed to be the acquirement of riches and honor and the ability to produce from the universal substance the energies to change base metals into gold. Let me hasten to say that not all of the early alchemists confined their goals to temporary again. Indeed, many stalwart souls pursued alchemy with the same reverence they would a quest for the Holy Grail, seeing it as a divine art and the origin of the Christian mysteries, as when Christ changed the water into wine at the marriage in Cana of Galilee. I've heard that that was actually his and Mary Magdalene's wedding, in fact, but we'll see what the footnote says, because that is a clue that was left for you. So I say to you, let's get back to where we have to go to find the reference from book 1. That's all it is. It was a Bible reference. So Matthew 5:45 was the wedding at the Cana of Galilee. But what I've heard was, I could be wrong, but what I've heard was that the reason that Mary actually instructed the servants was because it was Jesus and Mary Magdalene's wedding. And the only reason that Mary would have instructed those servants were if they were hers, because you don't command someone else's servant, right? And then there were other instances as well that were examples, but that was just the most poignant that came to mind in that moment. So We desire to see the original concepts about alchemy given new meaning, and we desire to see the meaning it acquired in the mystery schools brought to the fore. For the uses to which this science is presently put must be translated to a higher dimension if mankind are to reap the full benefits thereof. Unless the spiritual science is applied to the freeing of individuals and society from drudgery, confusion, and compromise with the densities of human thought, as is our wish, the purposes to which God ordained it will remain unfulfilled. We who pursue the high calling of the alchemist aspire to see all attain a place where they can both teach and extol the basic purposes of life to the youth of the world as having far greater than mere temporal pleasures, which in reality serve a lesser purpose to a divine alchemist than does a pacifier to a suckling child. Let no one think, because I spend this time in introducing the heart of the subject to you, that my discussion is not pertinent to the facts at hand. Unless each one understands that he individually must exercise his God-given right to use power wisely and lovingly, he cannot help but fall into the pits of self-delusion and rationalization. Now it is God's plan that everyone on earth pursue the understanding of himself and his destiny. Conceit born of intellectual pride has caused many a sincere student and even a number of worldly masters of one science or another to fall into the traps of his own creation. And in many cases they never knew when the snare was sprung. Good morning, Reina. Amazing to see you. Thank you for tuning in from Indonesia. How fun. If you are over on Facebook too and want to share where you are from, I will get to reading that after the fact too. So, therefore, if any subject be included here, let no one think he can omit it simply because he may seem to know it already or because he has considered it before. We place many gems of thought in the most unlikely sentences, which, though plain enough of speech and easily seen, may require more than the diligence of even an honest heart scanning. Saint Peter voiced the query, and if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? It is well for the would-be alchemist to realize that this is an exact and true science whose illumination is conferred upon man by God himself. Its purpose is to teach mankind how to obtain for themselves every gracious gift and virtue which their life streams might require in finding the way back home to God's heart. Literally exactly what I have been using as the tagline for years without understanding that there were already other people that were doing what I was trying to do too. So, my God. I am deciding in this moment to actually go on Instagram too. So, let us do that. Let us go live on Instagram, and I will put you up here to be found, to look down and see Saint Germain and me reading the Saint Germain on Alchemy. It's true, I lost my spot when I put it down, but I have found it again. So back to it, here we go. I do not say that you cannot learn to materialize every wish of your being, and this aspect of alchemy is for some the easiest part of the whole, while for others it remains the most difficult. I do say that the design of those wishes ought to be contemplated more than the wondrous science of bringing them into manifestation from the invisible. For to create a worthy design is a most noble endeavor, worthy of the God in man, which alone can set him free to fulfill his immortal destiny. We have labored below and waited above for the children of this world to cease the plunder and pillage of war, to cultivate the education of the underprivileged, to relinquish the desire for class distinction, and to offer themselves as would princes of the realm to serve effectively the needs of their impoverished yet noble kin. We are presently determined to seek out the faithful of all nations and to empower them with the means whereby they can individually escape from the self-imposed bondage of the times and obtain their own priceless inheritance. Nor ephemeral. However, when serving in European And so something totally threw me off. What was that, I wonder? It makes me then want to say, ring my bell, ring my bell, ring my bell. You know those little bells? I'm really unfocused. There's just been a lot going on, so I'm just gonna go with it. But have you seen these before? Oh my god. Did you know you can just hit a bell and then it clears the air? So we could totally play with this. All right, I'm clear. Well, after an hour here and an hour and a half on the summit that just got up of Lawfully Organized Summit, I would highly recommend you check out. Lots of great information on there, and is ultimately what this is talking about in different words, because that's what all of us are doing, using different words to put God into, and then to recognize the walls instead of the foundation. And I'm saying, no, we need to use the foundation on the boxes to make us feel safe, so we can develop an inner security that allows us to take a stand firmly for truth, love, and justice in the name of the I am that I am presence above each of us, that reminds us that we are not alone, and that ultimately we have a throne within our heart center, and it is how we come back to the sacred chamber of the heart where the threefold flame burns. I just got that video up 2 days before as well, so you can check out it, as well as some card pulls from the Divine Guidebook, which I would love for you to be able to see, by Cheryl Lee Harnish. Amazing art in those, and I will be actually doing a little message, so I gotta really stay focused because I'm being told to do so. So naturally, this heritage is neither temporal nor ephemeral. However, when serving in Europe, dissipate some of the poverty and confusion so prevalent there, I did use universal alchemy to produce the substance which, although temporary in nature, supplied many human needs, and was both comforting and helpful to the world and to the personal lives of my beneficiaries. I conceive nothing wrong in the idea, nor do I look with disfavor upon your having a divine source of supply to meet all your needs. I do feel it is needful for you to keep constantly humble and grateful, as God places within your hands the key to the control of natural forces. Again, and second to no idea contained herein, is the constant need to understand the universal scheme or plan of creation, so that all you do, design. Oh, I messed up do and design, and then I reversed my order, so I'll just start again. And second to no idea contained herein is the constant need to understand the universal scheme or plan of creation, so that all that you design and do will be harmonious with eternal law and cosmic principles. I hope that I shall have neither affrighted nor discouraged any of the students of alchemy from pursuing this marvelous divine study. I am, however, now free to proceed with more relish, for I have magnified the eternally manifest principle of the immortal intelligence of God, which some call inspiration, while others call it simply the mind of God. Whatever men may call a quality, it is its possession that counts the whole 9 points of the law. Therefore, love, the emanation of divine wisdom contained herein, which, like sunlight shimmering through the trees, touches with its fingers of light all through which it passes, for only by love can you truly possess. I am the resurrection and the life of cosmic purpose within you. In the name of freedom, I remain. Saint Germain, I am. Peace be with each of you. We are up to chapter 3. Where did chapter 2 go? Wow, it just flew. And we jumped to a few different sections within. So I would highly encourage you, remember, Only thy faithfulness to the Father and Son, thy hopefulness and charity in the spirit of the perpetual healer will set free thy captive heart and release both light and spirit of the seeker from the dungeons of self-division and the divisive ones. Thus day unto day does the glory and power of God's kingdom expand from within the threefold flame of the heart, rarest of all immortals, which was why Michael and I had to prepare the Sacred Flame video for you in advance. So you can go check that out. And then now, evidently, it is time for us to get to the little card pull. If you'd like one, then comment, and I'm glad to pull one specifically for you. And then also to say the irony that I happened to find this book by Billy Graham, which I've never actually fully read, and yet it happened to be the one that I had right next to me at the beginning of the summit, where I read The White Horse and Its Rider Part 1, and then, no, I got to Part 3 when it came to be time for me to flip to a part in the book and read that, which was about those who deceive from within the church. And yet here, this is part 1, the rider who deceives. So I say this at 5555 right now in the YouTube video. Wow, I do love how the universe speaks to us and through us too. So as the messenger of the message and the mess I am that becomes the Messiah, who actually takes the M that grounds and brings it up to the skies for us to see the lies of the oblivious made obvious once we have eyes to real eyes what is actually happening. So picture John somewhere above Patmos, caught up in his vision to the very throne of God. The Lamb is about to open God's book. The 4 creatures bow in silence. The 24 elders tremble in anticipation. The choir of 10,000 times 10,000 angels stops its singing and stands on tiptoe, waiting to see what happens next. Then, as John, an eyewitness on the scene, reports in Revelation, the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals, Revelation 6:1. What should happen then is obvious. A page of writing should appear peeled back from the leather scroll, and John and the creatures and the elders should all crowd around to read that page. But this is no ordinary book. We say about St. Germain on alchemy as to why maybe this was what we need to hear, and then have eyes to see the truth for what it is, and to know that not all prophets are true. Not saying anything particularly to you about he who is on the screen, but there are 3 here, and the crystalline one that just radiates truth regardless, for some fun. So, okay, well, what should happen then is obvious. A page of writing should appear peeled back from the leather scroll, and John and the creatures and the elders should all crowd around to read that page. But this is no ordinary book. This is an illustrated, God-inspired volume whose pictures leap full-blown from the pages and thunder across their vision. Apparently, there is a brief moment between that time when the Lamb breaks open the seal and the time when the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse can ride. In that instant, they await God's command like race horses poised in the gate. The 4 horsemen cannot ride at their own command because of God's sovereign control. They pause for God's order to begin their journey. In that pause, as the riders await God's command to ride, we learn several great lessons about these judgments. First, we learn that the judgment of the 4 horsemen is in part conditional. As I've written this book, I have pondered repeatedly a very basic question about these judgments. Is it that? Is it this? Or it is this? Are these judgments which John foresees inevitable? Will they definitely happen, or can these judgments somehow be delayed or even completely averted? In other words, are they unconditional, definitely going to take place no matter what happens, or are they conditional, able to be diverted if certain conditions are met, such as our repentance and faith? This is not an easy question to answer, and I am aware sincere students of the Bible may not all agree. However, after careful study, I have come to the conclusion that the answer is both. Both is always the best answer. not always, ALL-ways, because we have to pay respect to the fact that every time we introduce another variable, we share ourselves and our energy with more than what we have the ability to control. And sometimes when it's out of control, out of our hands, then we just have to let it out of our heads too, because we can't change what is due when it is not able to be present in this moment, because we are in a past not now moment. And so we have to go recollect ourselves from there and bring ourselves back firmly to here, and then remember the fact that to whomever much power is given, much responsibility is required. And so at some time in the future, a time unknown to us, the terrible hooves of the four horsemen will finally trample across the stage of human history with an unprecedented intensity, bringing in their wake deception, war, hunger, and death on a scale which staggers the imagination. God will use those four horsemen in an awesome act of judgment on the earth, and like a tremendous tidal wave smashing on the shore, nothing will be able to prevent it except us. We are the ones that can put our foot down. If not already too late, it is time for us to take a stand and to say, no, we will not just be the ones that just stand there waiting to be smashed. And I know I've got Roderick watching saying, oh gosh, she's at it again, but love your heart. So I'll just watch and not criticize, maybe, is what I imagine you say. Who knows? Only you. God will use those four horsemen in an awesome act of judgment on the earth, and like a tremendous tidal wave smashing on the shore, nothing will be able to prevent it. Someday the Bible says judgment is certainly coming, for he has set a day when he will judge the world with justice by the man he has anointed. Acts 17:31. Until this time that God has appointed, however, there are many occasions when God seemingly delays or averts his hand of judgment for a period of time, because men have repented and turned to him in faith and obedience. Throughout the centuries, the hoofbeats of the four horsemen have echoed and re-echoed across the pages of history. Deception, war, hunger, and death have haunted the human race to one degree or another since the day Adam and Eve chose to rebel against God on a massive scale. At times, they have become much fainter. Why? I believe it is because there are times when God delays his judgments, possibly even for several generations, because many have listened to his message of warning and turned to him in repentance and faith. A good example of this is seen in God's dealings with the people of the ancient Assyrian capital of Nineveh. They were an evil, pagan people who worshipped idols and often fought against God's people. God sent the prophet Jonah to Nineveh to proclaim his coming judgment to them. Go to the great city of Nineveh and proclaim to it the message I give you. 40 more days and Nineveh will be destroyed. Jonah 3:2-4. But when the king of Nineveh heard Jonah's message, he repented and ordered the whole people to repent as well. As a result, God's judgment was averted. Only later, when evil increased in generations after Jonah and the people failed to repent, did God's judgment finally fall on Nineveh. God's judgment is often this way. Someday it will come in all its fullness and finality, but in the meantime, it may be that God's hand of judgment will pause when we repent, just as this first horse pauses before being let loose on the world in full measure. My Lord, we have been given a chance to prevent that from happening, and it is with decrees, our one tool that we can use. You should not wish to avoid what is necessary. The coming die-off of humanity is necessary. The current species is completely unpleasant and unteachable. Inferior genes must die in order for evolution. God bless you. I hope you find your way. Well, you know, what is cool is that I just flipped to the pages of the Head, Heart, and Hand Decrees booklet and saw these are actually all the true chakra colors and mandalas. And that is something that Michael Seegers and I have shared many a time. And so with that, I also actually say to you that we did a video about Mother Mary. It's 2 parts. The last one was on the rosary. I get a pain in my side because of the significance of sharing that with you who was meant to hear it. So I am interested by the fact that that is offensive. People don't want to hear it. We have to stay focused. We have to hold the course. We have to remember what we're doing, I say at 808, which is all about abundance. This is Saint Germain on Alchemy, and we are the alchemists. We have to remember the fact that I did just read. I wasn't ready to get any further than I did, as and when I did too. So that is at the bottom. At the bottom is uncovering treasure. Beneath the surface lies great bounty, if only we are willing to ask the question. For that is what Socrates said. I want to point out that solitude was revealed, for it is in peace that silence is able to be preserved and prevailed. In silence, peace prevails. Solitude is the gift after we have gotten over the point of view, the view from above gets the big picture to hold the course. I didn't even literally mean to put these 2 cards together, and yet it is seen that that was what was meant to happen once we have stepped into our power, being stronger than measure and chasing passion and pleasure, to savor our life and to remember that joy is found in the present moment, where we actually turn the urn into the you are now everything, everyone. You realize that the answer to the sacred question for secret society's admission previously was, how do you know when you are suffering? And the answer is, when I see another suffer and I know that I am, because I see myself in them. I have learned oneness is the secret of the universe. So that is what I wanted you to know. We have to believe in magic and actually put the K back onto it, because it is the way that we merge and marry the divine king and queen within and expect the wondrous to emerge, because no longer have we tried to contain what was previously our domain, and now we say we are protected by angels. We are cherished by the angels, completely protected. We are in such a divine light that we are the messengers who have come here to stand in the power of the flame, and that is why I was going to say it is time to do some decrees in the flow. Everything is smooth sailing from here. You know, we're protected by angels. I just flipped it again. I did not mean to, my friend, and yet that was what happened. And then I say stay focused. So now it's 8:10. We're going to do 10 minutes of decrees, and we are going to start, in fact, with the heart, head, and hand decrees. But I would really like to be able to bring it up on screen. And so next time I'm going to make that more accessible to you. Can you have a card, please? Oh, absolutely. Yes. Happy to give you a card. All right. And if you would like a card, absolutely, then comment in there. This one is for Roderick. What do you say? Begin now. Take your first step, my friend. It is time for you to begin the thing that you have been questioning, and you must have valiant courage, which is why we're connected. You are not alone. You must take action with passion, and you must understand that it is about stepping into your power. It is about being stronger than measure. It is about Marianne Williamson's poem, Our Deepest Fear, that says it is not our light that most frightens us. It is not our darkness that most frightens us. It is our light. For when we realize that plight, it is when we reach our destination. For your light is shining brilliantly. And when we realize that the sun is always shining above the clouds, that then is when we say, Oi, why did I think that I was alone in the midst? And we say it is because you did not know about taking shelter answers are within, if only you are willing to ask the question and not sin, which is to speak ill against yourself or another and to tread thoughtfully through the narrow pathway of the Christos consciousness that takes us up into the I am that I am, that helps us follow our bliss and navigate by the stars, of one of which you are, my friend, fellow traveler, supporters all around. I am a mirror of that for you now. So I say to you, it is a voyage of the heart. Love flows through you and to you, and you get to decide whether you will be the river or the reservoir. And if you are willing to do so, then you can find sanctuary by opening to your spiritual source. Whether you put that name to be God, or whether you say it is Allah, or whatever name you attribute to the box that you put the creator into, is simply because that's what a word is. We overcome obstacles. We can overcome anything. And to know that the sword is the sacred word that is stuck into a rock when not used properly. For we are protected by angels. We're protected by angels. You may be looking at me, but you could be entertaining an angel. Only you know you must savor your life and channel your passion, because we must step into our power. You are more. You are strong. You are more than you could see before. You've got a higher view. Get the bigger picture to let yourself see what we are doing right now. We are being called to stand, not take a knee. No, that is not how we stay focused. Hold the course. We've got to know. You got a wise leader in you. We've got to train them to be valiant and courageous too. Take action with passion just like you can. Yeah, I don't need protection. I am the protector. We are all stronger when we are able to back into the center with our backs turned to each other, to know that we are there and we've got our side, but we don't have to watch our back if we know we are in this with others. We can create miracles and expect the wondrous to emerge, and then we must watch the clouds and lie back, rest, relax. That seems contradictory, and yet we've got rainbow blessings and answering the call. That's what we must do, and when we hear the call, we'll want to veil it for a time until we meet the one who says you can choose the red pill or the blue pill. And we gotta know that we are the red pillars who wake up, the red pillars who wake up the blue ones, the ones who don't want anything to do with me. And I am not for everyone, I know that, and sometimes I may not be for you, and that's okay. You can turn me off and go about your day if you don't see the blessings that are showering your life right now with the song that I am singing to you. The time is now. It is true that Saint Germain gifted each of us with the path to begin now. It's the rejuvenating rain. Clear the past and heal the present, and we have to change the fact that we before thought that we had to be constantly healing and to find more. But now we understand that we have actually done the work to put Jesus in the frame. What do you mean more? This is what I mean. We can turn Saint Germain on his head and then welcome Jesus into the picture. I say embracing enthusiasm. The gates of triumph are here for us if only we are willing to walk through them. And I give you the key. I hope that you are enjoying this, the infinite abundance, grace and gratitude. Through gratitude, joy expands. And then I say that abundance is pouring into your life. And I say, hey, it is time for us to go away. That's a lot to say. We've got to believe in moonlight, believe in magic It's the first light of new cycles. We're beginning cycles now, oh my friend. I never know where these messages will go, but I say to you, I will do my best. And I want to carry a couple at the same time. We're at an impasse. Reflect and redirect your energy transformation. A fresh new way of living emerges as we choose our path, and all is possible. I say to you that you and I have a chance to do something that has never been done before. That is why we are connected. And then I say to you, we are the ones who get to cleanse waters, which are the cells of ourselves. And to say, as I often say, we get to choose the F and what we'll fill it with, and whether we will choose faith or fear, and to know that fear is actually false emotion appearing real, which is why we have to decide to be the mystic healer of ourselves. Healing energy flows through you and to you always. We have to reach for vast vistas, expand your horizons, and be willing to do what you have never done. Walk in beauty, wondrous universe. It is the one song we are all singing for, and that is all that I have to say now. I guess it's not. This was what dropped. It is being fogged in. Go slow, take your time. Be the mystic healer of your own mind. Healing energy flows through you. Far away places beckon to you. Get ready for new horizons. Just know what you're looking for so that when you get there, great adventure, take risks, venture forward. And understand distant thunder clears the air, requires you reach your destination. Your light is shining brilliantly. We got to cross the bridges. It is time for healing, connecting, mending, releasing, and to know we are breaking a trail. A breakthrough is at hand. Grounding requires we go deep and explore our roots to be the ones who go into solitude. In silence, peace prevails, and so that is how we understand who we are. We find joy and delight in the open heart, that we chose to open our heart because we were told cleansing waters purifies. It activates vibrant life force in the flow. Everything is smooth sailing, you know, my friend. Ascending the mountain, keep going forward, never stop. Life doesn't stop. Unknown territory is next. Always, unless you are in Groundhog Day, and you are exactly where you need to be, except you're repeating the same day a million times, and that's not what we came here for. Then discover truth. You stand in the light of truth, which is why I did the summit and the interview both that got up at the same time. It is true, and so I say to you, please go and watch them both. That is going to be about 3 hours of your life, and yet I say it's worth it. Desert passion, trust that there's a divine plan. Watch it and bring your questions to next Thursday at 4 Eastern Time. That is when we will expand your horizons in the vast vistas of wandering paths. Enjoy the journey, and to add the joy to the beginning and to in the middle too. Uncover treasures so you can discover the surface that has covered the bounty lying down therein. The beauty that you must walk in. The universe is wondrous. Surrender to the journey. Release control and travel lightly. Simplify your life. It doesn't have to be as complicated as all that. We have come to be such complicated creatures. Stable, that is the messy paid opposition. It's true, but I interviewed him, and he is telling truth. This is what comes to me and through me, because I am the vessel of light that I choose to command wisely. In silence, peace prevails when we learn to trust the truth. Transformation, a fresh new way to the phoenix flame of life and death and rising so that we can be protected. We have a lot going on, and we are the healing energy flows through you. Embrace enthusiasm so you cannot lose the enthusiasm that you have for something just because someone else does not. It is true. So let's break the trail through. So I say to you that I am going to say adieu tonight. It is true that you can watch the rest and all the other things that have been going up. I have been impressed with how much has been just coming out, and so I pass it on to you, and I hope that you will pass this on to somebody else. We are protected by the angels. Please don't forget that and do your decrees. I forgot. Distant thunder requires that we clear the air so that miracles can expect the wondrous to emerge. Let's do 10 minutes, then it's an hour and a half, and then I will say namago after I say namaste. The light in me honors the light in you. So it is the head, heart, or the heart, head, and hand decrees by Almoira. If you want to do a screenshot, happy for you to do so with the first page. And what we do is say this verse 3 times, this one 3 times, and then this one 3 times. So hopefully you have grabbed the screenshot, because I'm going to turn it around and look at it for my own self. And you can do the same up on YouTube or on Instagram rather. And now let's go. Violet fire, thou love divine, blaze within this heart of mine. Thou art mercy forever true, keep me always in tune with you. Violet fire, thou love divine, blaze within this heart of mine. Thou art mercy forever true, keep me always in tune with you. Violet fire, thou love divine, blaze within this heart of mine. Thou art mercy forever true, keep me always in tune with you. I am like thou, Christ in me, set my mind forever free. Violet fire forever shine, deep within this mind of mine. God, I am like thou, Christ in me, set my mind forever free. Violet flame, violet fire forever shine, deep within this mind of mine. God who gives my daily bread, with violet fire fill my head, till thy radiance heaven like makes my mind a mind of light. I am like thou, Christ in me, set my mind forever free. Violet fire forever shine, deep within this mind of mine. God who gives my daily bread, with violet fire fill my head, till thy radiance heaven like makes my mind a mind of light. I am like thou, Christ in me, set my mind forever free. Violet fire forever shine, deep within this mind of mine. God who gives my daily bread, with violet fire fill my head, till thy radiance heaven like makes my mind a mind of light. I am the hand of God in action, gaining victory every day. My pure soul's great satisfaction is to walk the middle way. I am God. I am the hand of God in action, gaining victory every day. My pure soul's great satisfaction is to walk the middle way. I am the hand of God in action, gaining victory every day. My pure soul's great satisfaction is to walk the middle way. Beloved, I am present, spread around me, seal your tube of light from ascended master flame. Called forth now in God's own name, let it keep my temple free from all discord sent to me. I am calling forth violet fire to blaze and transmute all desire, keeping on in freedom's name till I am one with the violet flame. Beloved, I am present, spread around me, seal your tube of light from ascended master flame. Called forth now in God's own name, let it keep my temple free from all discord sent to me. I am calling forth violet fire to blaze and transmute all desire, keeping on in freedom's name till I am one with the violet flame. Beloved, I am present, spread around me, seal your tube of light from ascended master flame. Called forth now in God's own name, let it keep my temple free from all discord sent to me. I am calling forth violet fire to blaze and transmute all desire, keeping on in freedom's name till I am one with the violet flame. I am forgiveness acting here, casting out all doubt and fear, setting men forever free with wings of cosmic victory. I am calling in full power for forgiveness every hour, to a life in every place. I flood forth forgiving grace. I am forgiveness acting here, casting out all doubt and fear, setting men forever free with wings of cosmic victory. I am calling in full power for forgiveness every hour, to a life in every place. I flood forth forgiving grace. I am forgiveness acting here, casting out all doubt and fear, setting men forever free with wings of cosmic victory. I am calling in full power for forgiveness every hour, to a life in every place. I flood forth forgiving grace. I am forgiveness acting here, casting out all doubt and fear, setting men forever free with wings of cosmic victory. I am calling in full power for forgiveness every hour, to a life in every place. I flood forth forgiving grace. I am fear from fear. I am free from fear and doubt, casting want and misery out, knowing now all good supply ever comes from realms on high. I am the hand of gods and fortune, flooding forth the treasures of light, now receiving full abundance to supply each need of life. I am free from fear and doubt, casting want and misery out, knowing now all good supply ever comes from realms on high. I am the hand of gods and fortune, flooding forth the treasures of light, now receiving full abundance to supply each need of life. I am free from fear and doubt, casting want and misery out, knowing now all good supply ever comes from realms on high. I am the hand of gods and fortune, flooding forth the treasures of light, now receiving full abundance to supply each need of life. While I was doing the Beloved I Am Presence one, I should have actually shown you the other page for you to do the screenshot of, and those are the corresponding chakras too. So beautiful song. Your voice is very moving. Thank you. I appreciate it. I hope you got the picture as well, so you can sing along if you choose to and see the things too. So now we're going to Perfection, throat chakra. I am life of God, direction, blaze thy light of truth in me. Focus here all God's perfection, from all discord set me free. Make and keep me anchored ever in the justice of thy plan. I am the presence of perfection, living the life of God and man. I am life of God, direction, blaze thy light of truth in me. Focus here all God's perfection, from all discord set me free. Make and keep me anchored ever in the justice of thy plan. I am the presence of perfection, living the life of God and man. I am life of God, direction, blaze thy light of truth in me. Focus here all God's perfection, from all discord set me free. Make and keep me anchored ever in the justice of thy plan. I am the presence of perfection, living the life of God and man. I am changing all my garments, old ones, for the bright new day. With the sun of understanding, I am shining all the way. I am light within, without. I am light is all about. Fill me, free me, glorify me, seal me, heal me, purify me, until transfigured they describe me. I am shining like the sun. I am shining like the sun. I am changing all my garments, old ones, for the bright new day. With the sun of understanding, I am shining all the way. I am light within, without. I am light is all about. Fill me, free me, glorify me, seal me, heal me, purify me, until transfigured they describe me. I am shining like the sun. I am shining like the sun. I am changing all my garments, old ones, for the bright new day. With the sun of understanding, I am shining all the way. I am light within, without. I am light is all about. Fill me, free me, glorify me, seal me, heal me, purify me, until transfigured they describe me. I am shining like a sun. I am shining like the sun. I am the flame of resurrection, blazing God's pure light through me. I am raising every atom from every shadow. I am free. I am the light of God's full presence. I am living ever free. Now the flame of life eternal rises up to victory. Take a screenshot if you would. I would like to move on if I could. And I say to you that you just got a hand above. Close above my hand is what I was going to say. All right, let's do 3 of resurrection, solar plexus chakra. I am the flame of resurrection, blazing God's pure light through me. I am raising every atom from every shadow. I am free. I am the light of God's full presence. I am living ever free. Now the flame of life eternal rises up to victory. I am the flame of resurrection, blazing God's pure light through me. I am raising every atom from every shadow. I am free. I am the light of God's full presence. I am living ever free. Now the flame of life eternal rises up to victory. I am the flame of resurrection, blazing God's pure light through me. Now I'm raising every atom from every shadow. I am free. I am the light of God's full presence. I am living ever free. Now the flame of life eternal rises up to victory. Ascension. I am ascension, light, victory, flowing free. All of good won at last for all eternity. I am light, all weights are gone, into the air I raise. To all I pour with full God power my wondrous song of praise. All hail, I am the living Christ, the ever-loving one. Ascended now with full God power, I am a blazing sun. I am ascension, light, victory, flowing free. All of good won at last for all eternity. I am light, all weights are gone, into the air I raise. To all I pour with full God power my wondrous song of praise. All hail, I am the living Christ, the ever-loving one. Ascended now with full God power, I am a blazing sun. I am ascension, light, victory, flowing free. All of good won at last for all eternity. I am light, all weights are gone, into the air I raise. To all I pour with full God power my wondrous song of praise. All hail, I am the living Christ, the ever-loving one. Ascended now with full God power, I am a blazing sun. We're going to do one as well that is actually known as a miracle maker. And so this is the miracle maker poem, or a decree rather, and it is, I am presence, thou art master. So, I am presence, thou art master, I am presence, clear the way, let thy light and all thy power take possession here this hour. Charge with victory's mastery, blaze with lightning, blaze thy substance into this thy form, descend, that perfection and its glory shall blaze forth and earth transcend. I am presence, thou art master, I am presence, clear the way, let thy light and all thy power take possession here this hour. Charge with victory's mastery, blaze with lightning, blaze thy substance into this thy form, descend, that perfection and its glory shall blaze forth and earth transcend. I am presence, thou art master, I am presence, clear the way, let thy light and all thy power take possession here this hour. Charge with victory's mastery, blaze with lightning, blaze the substance into this thy form, descend, that perfection and its glory shall blaze forth and earth transcend. I am presence, thou art master, I am presence, clear the way, let thy light and all thy power take possession here this hour. Charge with victory's mastery, blaze with lightning, blaze the substance into this thy form, descend, that perfection and its glory shall blaze forth and earth transcend. You do this 9 times and it has super supercharged effects for creating miracles in your life if you're open to it. So just get my drift, and you can use the rift that I've created, or you can make one that works better for you. It doesn't matter. Just do it for yourself if you choose. Choice is the power that we have. So I am presence, thou art master, I am presence, clear the way, let thy light and all thy power take possession here this hour. Charge with victory's mastery, blaze with lightning, blaze the substance into this thy form, descend, that perfection and its glory shall blaze forth and earth transcend. I am presence, thou art master, I am presence, clear the way, let thy light and all thy power take possession here this hour. Charge with victory's mastery, blaze with lightning, blaze the substance into this thy form, descend, that perfection and its glory shall blaze forth and earth transcend. I am presence, thou art master, I am presence, clear the way, let thy light and all thy power take possession here this hour. Charge with victory's mastery, blaze with lightning, blaze the substance into this thy form, descend, that perfection and its glory shall blaze forth and earth transcend. I am presence, thou art master, I am presence, clear the way, let thy light and all thy power take possession here this hour. Charge with victory's mastery, blast, place with lightning, blaze the substance into this thy form, descend, that perfection and its glory shall blaze forth and earth transcend. I am presence, thou art master, I am presence, clear the way, let thy light and all thy power take possession here this hour. Charge with victory's mastery, blaze with lightning, blaze the substance into this thy form, descend, that perfection and its glory shall blaze forth and earth transcend. I am presence, thou art master, I am presence, clear the way, let thy light and all thy power take possession here this hour. Charge with victory's mastery, blaze with lightning, blaze the substance into this thy form, descend, that perfection and its glory shall blaze forth and earth transcend. I am presence, thou art master, I am presence, clear the way, let thy light and all thy power take possession here this hour. Charge with victory's mastery, blaze with lightning, blaze the substance into this form, descend, that perfection and its glory shall blaze forth and earth transcend. I am presence, thou art master, I am presence, clear the way, let thy light and all thy power take possession here this hour. Charge with victory's mastery, blaze with lightning, blaze the substance into this thy form, descend, that perfection and its glory shall blaze forth and earth transcend. I am presence, thou art master, I am presence, clear the way, let thy light and all thy power take possession here this hour. Charge with victory's mastery, blaze with lightning, blaze the substance into this thy form, descend, that perfection and its glory shall blaze forth and earth transcend. I am presence, thou art master, I am presence, clear the way, let thy light and all thy power take possession here this hour. Charge with victory's mastery, blaze with lightning, blaze the substance into this thy form, descend, that perfection and its glory shall blaze forth and earth transcend. Woo, that was fun. Sometimes it felt like my words were like coming out after I'd said them. That is obvious, but like, I mean, like it carried on and it was like it fit into places where it was just like, wow, that's very interesting. Light language is encoded differently, which is interesting. Also, pens, colors. Did you know that if you sign with blue or black, it is about your corporate identity, as is the capitalization of your name. And then also, if you sign in purple, that is about your sovereignty. And if you sign in red, that is the color of blood. So these are things that you need to know as you empower yourself to do things that you never knew that you needed to do. And me too, and all of us, we're in this together. We're stronger together. And so I would love for you to be able to do more of what empowers you to take a stand. Article 61 of the 1215 Magna Carta seems to be the way that we can restore the rule of law. It was evoked back in March 23rd of 2001, and the government just didn't let us know because that's not convenient. And so I say to you, it is time for us to do our part to actually inform ourselves and to start connecting and dreaming a new dream together. So I hope that you will do that. I can feel that I am flying high because of those decrees, and I hope that you will too. I hope that you understand the power of your breath, the power of sound and song, the power of using sound frequency. Oh my God, yeah, if you didn't know. I've actually, I'm working with Jared Wade of Mystic Music, or well, he's with Mad Hatter's Music, and we're actually putting together a compilation CD with 22 songs and artists that we have asked to infuse their music with high vibing frequencies and set it to 432 hertz and 528 hertz, because those are healing frequencies, and to actually be aware of what is going into our music. So I am excited to be part of a project that is truly uncovering many stars that the world just hasn't known of yet. And so I look forward to sharing that with you. The deadline is April 2nd. If you would like to be part of that too, then please do come into the next summit, which would be on March 9th and 23rd at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. So mark your calendars to save the dates to be part of that. It is how we can actually change the frequency that we are putting out there as we harmonize humanity with an extra E for the energy that we are willing to put into it intentionally, into the recreation process of all that came before. And now we have a chance to say what will come next based on where we land as a people when we declare ourselves found and lost at sea, no longer the corporate entity that was dead and lost at sea, which is why our mother's maiden name is on the birth certificate that ultimately sold us and traded us and incorporated us, which is why it's all in uppercase, which is called your stick man, if you didn't know. But this is all a lot, I know. So we're going to get to go and also say that what was talked about in here about the golden age is what we have a chance to create together. And so all of that was a way to say that you are on a journey with fellow travelers, and you must navigate by the stars by realizing we are those. And at the foundation of it all, it is the mystic healer. So the healing energy flows through you, and it is your responsibility to share that with the ones that come to you that won't find me, because I am not for everyone, and that's okay. I don't need to be. I don't have space for everyone. No one does. But yet, at the same time, we're all in it together. So we must watch the clouds, lie back, rest, relax, be ourselves, step into who and whose we truly are, and know that we will overcome anything if we choose to. Just try. It is why we are here. Thank you. I appreciate your time today. And I wish you a wonderful day. Toodaloo. Laura J. Namaste. Namago. So I say to you goodbye. Okay. Thank you for tuning in, and we will come together another day. Oh, that's fun. Thanks. Come for the next one. I am going to do other things in the meantime, but definitely Sunday at 10:10 Eastern Standard Time, we will dig into the next chapter of The Artist's Way, a course in discovering and recovering your creative self. This is actually going to be week 4, where we talk about recovering a sense of integrity. So that's super awesome. And I would love for you to be there with me live so that we can start having an actual service with others in view rather than just me, though I am willing to take a stand and be that until someone else wants to share their perspective, and I'll just hold space, because that's what I've been training to do all this time, to be able to have grace when others need a safe space to be able to share their truth and not be judged, to release the shame, and to ultimately cut themselves free from the not now moments where they have lost all their power and given it away freely because they didn't know they had another choice. And now that they do, they choose otherwise. And that is how we become the ascended masters in our own journey. So this now is the end. Thank you. And please do share with someone who needs to hear this message today. Also, subscribe to Laura J. Hamilton is the channel where I would love for you to be able to get notified when the next thing comes out, because I've got 2 more videos from what I did with Michael. And then on top of that, I have the there's an interview that I did with Rita Davies from England that was amazing, that the world has not yet had the pleasure of seeing. So I look forward to sharing that with you. And I've got a few other things too that I have been doing behind the scenes. And so, yeah, life is full and we just have to prioritize what is going to get our focus as and when it's going to. So I hope that you'll come for the next one. And now officially that's the end. Namaste, Laura J. Have a good one. Thank you.